We are now in Chapter 1 of Health, Safety, and Nutrition, and Chapter 1 covers children's well-being, what it is, and how to achieve it. That's a lot of information for one chapter, but it's just very general about keeping kids healthy in childcare, keeping them active, brain and bodies, how they're connected. And one of the best ways to talk to kids about this is through children's literature. So I have 3 books that might be of interest to you. One is one of the leveled reader books. So kids that are pretty young, maybe grades 1 to 3, could read this on their own, but certainly preschool and kindergarten kids would enjoy it too. And this one is called Norma Jean Jumping Bean, and it just goes through and it's really fun. It's about a kangaroo. She liked to jump out of bed in the morning and all of the fun things she does during the day. She jumps into her clothes, she jumps down the stairs, she jumps all the way to school, she's talking to her friends. That morning, Miss Jones reads a book to the class. It was very good, but Norma Jean did not sit still long enough to hear the story. At playtime, she built a tower of blocks, and it goes through all of the things that she's going to do in a day and how active she is. I'm assuming that she is exhausted because even at the very end, she jumps for joy and jumps all the way home. So young children love reading this story and then getting up and jumping around the room or jumping out to recess or whatever. But it brings up a good point that current research shows that children with ADD and hyperactivity, don't want to call them disorders, but just tend to be more hyperactive, think better when they're moving. So as you're asking your young children to sit still in a circle during story time or sit still in their chair while they're coloring, just remember that some kids think better when they're actually moving. And even you yourself as an adult might find that that's true. A lot of adult learners, tap their pencil or kick their foot around as they're listening to a lecture, or myself, I have to be drawing or writing something all the time to be able to pay attention. So just be aware of those differences and the mind-body connection. Another fun one to read to kids is The Song and Dance Man. If you haven't read it, check it out. It's by Karen Ackerman, and it's a really fun one to read before you have kids dance around the room. Freeze dance is a fun one to do at all ages for a brain break. And reading a book about it before just makes it all that much more fun. And then the last one is Anna Banana 101 Jump Rope Rhymes. As a kid, I don't know if you guys did this too, but we used to jump rope and sing rhymes all the time. I don't hear that as much on the playground at my kids' school, but if you taught them a few, even young kids, then they might really enjoy doing it. Here's an example of one. It's a challenge to see how many times you can jump without missing. Here are rhymes for counting that number. Chickadee, chickadee, chop. How many times before I stop? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. There are a couple more ideas for that same activity, but with young children, this is even encouraging counting, and jumping rope when they're really young is quite difficult, but as they get older, they're doing it on their own, and then they can do the double dutch and anything like that to get them up and moving. Giving them recess time. There's lots of controversy over especially elementary schools cutting down on the number of minutes per day that children are allowed to have free play outside, outdoors. Health education is waning. Even their PE time is very limited. So as a teacher of young children or even elementary school children, if you could build activities like this into your day in addition to the content you're teaching, I think that you will see how much better students will be able to learn after getting up and wiggling around and doing some form of physical activity to really get the oxygen flowing, give their brains a break, and come back ready to learn. So those are a couple ideas for you. There are tons of great books out there, but there's a few, and as always, if I find more, I'll share.